This is Tom Fox, and I would like to welcome you to Greetings and Felicitations. In this podcast series, I'm going to be visiting with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, historians, and a wide variety of other people on topics that are outside the area of compliance, but are of great interest to myself and to listeners to the Compliance Podcast Network. In this series, I thought I would have some fun by looking at compliance as seen through the lens of Winnie the Pooh and the characters who live in the Hundred Acre Woods. Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, Tigger, Kangaroo, and Piglet. Winnie the Pooh, also called Pooh Bear or Pooh, was created by the English author A.A. Milne, who first appeared in a collection of stories about him and his friends in the book Winnie the Pooh in 1926, and this was followed by The House at Pooh Corner in 1928. Milne also included a poem about the bear in the children's verse book When We Were Very Young, and many more in Now We Are Six. All volumes were illustrated by E.H. Shepard, and the illustrations alone are worth the price of admissions. Many Americans were introduced to Pooh through the Walt Disney features Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, released in 1966, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, released in 1968, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, which was released in 1974. In today's episode, we look at the character Piglet and the role of finance in a corporate compliance program. Today we discuss Winnie the Pooh's best friend in the Hundred Acre Woods, and that, of course, is Piglet. Piglet is introduced in A.A. Milne's first book, Winnie the Pooh, and also appears in every chapter of The House at Pooh Corner. He is also close to Christopher Robin and the rest of the main characters. He is diminutive, only being slightly taller than Roo. His voice is best described as squeaky. Piglet himself can read and write, at least enough for short notes. Piglet has pink skin and a magenta jumper. He often runs and hides when unnecessary and often stutters when nervous. Yet he has a lot of hidden courage and often faces dangers to help others even when afraid. Stories about him tend to revolve around these traits as well as his diminutive size. Piglet loves beautiful things like flowers, is very kind-hearted, and is obsessed with keeping things neat and tidy. He sometimes has an inferiority complex, although his friends think highly of him. However, he is often left performing tasks better suited to someone bigger and stronger than he is. Piglet has some great adventures or sometimes misadventures, such as giving Eeyore a birthday balloon that pops, or getting lost in the 100 Acre Wood mist and helping to rescue Pooh and Owl after they are trapped in Owl's fallen house. My favorite Piglet tale is when Eeyore mistakenly offers Piglet's house as a new home for Owl after Owl's house has been blown down. Piglet nobly agrees to let Owl have his house, at which point Pooh asks Piglet to live with him, and Piglet accepts. This poignant story shows the true meaning of friendship as well as any Pooh story I know of. I cannot think of any character more able to illustrate the role of finance and compliance than Piglet. As noted, he is obsessed with keeping things neat, tidy, and sometimes has an inferiority complex, although his friends think highly of him, sort of like the corporate finance department. Finance has roles in the prevent, detect, and remediate prongs of any compliance program. In the prevent prong, this is most particularly true around offshore payments, which are defined as payments made to a location other than the home domicile of the payee or the location where the services were actually delivered. If a Tunisian agent performs services in Dubai and asks for payment in a location other than Dubai or Tunisia, that would qualify as an offshore payment. If you train people who are in finance on this issue, they may well pick up the phone and notify compliance when they see a request for payment in a geographic location separate and apart from the two standard payment venues. Those are types of communications, when properly documented, that can demonstrate your compliance program is operationalized in the very fabric of your organization. In a detect prong, there are several specific internal finance controls that facilitate the detection of an unauthorized or even illegal payment. These controls keep an eye on the money trail, as the money to pay a bribe is usually hidden in some company expenditure. The 4 general areas of payroll control should include 1. Segregation of duties, 2. Accountability authorization and approval, 3. Security of assets, and 4. Review and reconciliation. Finally, finance has a role in the remediation prong of any best practices compliance program. If there was a finance control failure which led to or even allowed a compliance violation, what was done to fix this control issue? Here, finance should work to perform a root cause analysis of what led to the control failure and then enhance or upgrade the controls to provide a solution going forward. Of course, there should be a fully documented audit trail for this work to provide to the government should they ever come knocking, or even to your own internal auditors or your external auditors. This means that not only finance can be one of compliance function's strongest corporate allies, but that the role of finance, by its nature, works to operationalize compliance. This is because to implement the appropriate internal controls around compliance, finance must know the specific requirements of compliance, know what kinds of issues are likely to come up that might create a risk of bribery and corruption, all leading to an understanding of the appropriate compliance internal controls to implement around compliance. I hope you'll join me tomorrow for our 5th and final episode in this series of Winnie the Pooh Explains Compliance, when I take up Winnie the Pooh himself and talk about Winnie the Pooh as an example for your chief ethics and compliance officers. I know you'll enjoy the ultimate episode in this special 5-part series. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode in a 5-part series where I explore some compliance topics as explained by Winnie the Pooh and some of his friends from the 100 Acre Woods. I hope you will join me again tomorrow as I continue my exploration of these characters and issues. This series is a special production of the Compliance Podcast Network.